Ladies and gentlemen, that is right. You see it right here, right now. The return of the Pro Wrestling Power Podcast, Wildcat. Yeah, we took a couple of weeks off, some family issues. Thank you very much for your thoughts, concerns, prayers, all that. I greatly appreciate it. But now it's time for us to get into the review of NXT. And they decided to go with a little bit of a crowd this week. It was a nice touch. It added a little bit of atmosphere. It was their developmental wrestlers. I'm not exactly sure how the testing and all that went, or just, But hey, there were people there. They were behind plexiglass, or like hockey glass, or whatever. But there were people at ringside, and it made it feel a little more familiar. And the show started off with a banger. It was a triple threat in the Cruiserweight tournament. Drake Maverick, Jake Atlas, and Kushida. And it was really good. They all three worked well together. It was mastercraft psychology. And it even added more, like the way the finish went with Drake Maverick winning, it added more to his underdog story that we're telling, and I please hope don't let this be. I hope that they're not the firing of Drake Maverick was its storyline, and we're not just, doing some real tone-deaf storytelling here, because that would suck, and I would be annoyed and very, very frustrated by the whole thing. I mean, otherwise, I'm loving every bit of it. Tournaments and wrestling are great things. It makes a reason for matches to happen. And these three work really, really, really well together. I'm glad that they had their opportunity. It was a good, 8-9 minute segment to open the show, and it started hot. Then we got Gargano and LeRae in the ring, and Gargano's doing an open challenge thing, which is really cool. Weird to see a heel do it, but it adds a little more stakes to it whenever it's an arrogant type, I'm better than everybody else heel that's out there. When it makes the squash match more eventful, if you will. If the local talent has to come to the ring, you think there's a little more stake to it, like they could actually beat the guy. You want to see Gargano get his comeuppance, and that's great heel work. It was a squash, of course, with Gargano winning. Then afterwards, there's this hilarious segment with Mia Yim and Keith Lee making fun of Gargano and Candice LeRae. So we're going to get a feud there, and that's interesting, and I like where that's going. So it was legitimately funny at times. Like at one point in time, Keith Lee was like, what's the difference between Gargano and his action figure? They're both the same size. And it was just... there were funny moments. It was great. I really appreciated that. They're teasing a storyline, and I want to see it. Then we get Raquel Gonzalez looking like a proper monster against Shotzi Blackheart. Anytime Shotzi would come up with any bit of momentum, it would get squashed quickly. How far you fall. She rode a tank last week, and this week she's getting beat up by a tank. So, and there were a lot of shenanigans ringside, like different people coming out, different storylines being told, but they were all interconnected, and it's really interesting that all the shenanigans actually made sense. Oh man, Shotzi took a really bad bump, and I'm glad that she was able to continue with some kind of, they were able to find a good finish, but Raquel Gonzalez with kind of a sketchy win, but overall, another fun moment. Then we go straight into another women's match, and this one was not as fun. Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai versus Charlotte and Chelsea Green. And the connection to the Robert Stone talent, or whatever, the talent agency or whatever they're doing there, pays off, because there's no way Chelsea Green should be tagging with Charlotte in a match. And going into it, we're like, okay, well, the good guys are going to win, and Chelsea's going to eat the pin. We already know this. But, I guess points for not being predictable, but, that's really all we get here, because Charlotte pinned Io Shirai to win. Because, yay, Charlotte. I guess. I mean, it leads us to some interesting booking decisions maybe later down the road. It wasn't predictable. I'll give them that. Overall, solid match. I mean, they're all four are good workers. It definitely elevated Chelsea Green. Like, she looked like she belonged there, and I like that they're actually doing, proper continuation of story. Maybe Raw and SmackDown could learn some lessons from them. Then, speaking of story continuation, Ciampa beats the absolute mess out of Leon Rush while he's laser focused on Scarlett Bordeaux at ringside. And Scarlett, she's with Killer Cross. She does the music. She's with him every time he's at ringside. She's the valet. Also a pretty good wrestler in her own right. But, he was just laser focused at her the entire time. He's beating the crap out of this other guy. I love that. It's good old-fashioned storytelling. I like the subtlety of it. Like, especially the fact that Ciampa's lost matches because of the valet before. So even that characterization kind of built into it as well. And there's a few other promos here. Adam Cole and was talking about a match that they're going to do with Velveteen Dream, and if Velveteen Dream doesn't win, they're never doing it again. Thank God. And he was talking to William Regal, and it was just a promo. I mean, I'm not going to review promos. You can go watch them for yourself. The tag champs did a promo earlier too, kind of the same story. But then we get a cage match, a pit fight, if you will. And Kurt Angle is there in a ref shirt. What Kurt Angle's doing in this match, besides trying to look for ratings, get people to turn on the TV. Hey, Kurt Angle's going to be on NXT. That's really the only reason I could think of him being there. Matt Riddle versus Timothy Thatcher. And oh my goodness, was this brilliant. Please, absolutely, go watch it. I'm going to tell you who wins, but you need to see how we get there. I don't know if it's a work or not, but Timothy Thatcher appears to have lost teeth during this fight. It was so brutal and hard-hitting. The only way it could have been better is if there was more storyline build-up beforehand. This was kind of rushed, maybe in the span of 3 weeks to a month. This is one... God, I love to have seen this one in front of a full crowd. It was legitimately pay-per-view quality match on regular TV. Thatcher wins by submission, and we all know that those that pay attention to the dirt sheets and Twitter and everything know that Matt Riddle's going on to SmackDown, so this was kind of his swan song. You always leave on your back in the business before you move up. But seriously, please go watch it. It was fantastic. It was everything a wrestling match should be, and I'm glad that they put it on here on the regular TV. Kind of what I was hoping that would happen with AEW being on Wednesday nights is it would force them to up their game on NXT, and this was probably the best of the COVID empty arena shows. So go watch the whole thing. Trust me on this, you won't be disappointed. I'll be back with you here in a couple of days talking about SmackDown, the house that AJ Styles is going to rebuild, maybe? Anyway, looking forward to it then. Thank you guys. Have a good evening. God bless.
Welcome back, folks. It's me. It's that Retro J.O. to the single E. That is right. We're back, and it's Wednesday night. Well, it's not Wednesday anymore, but still, this is our coverage of the Wednesday Night War. And man, the war is definitely heating up. And as seen on news forums, AEW pulled past NXT this last Wednesday night. It was great. There were some good matches. There were some not so good matches. But what was the best thing about the night? We'll find out very shortly as we go into AEW Dynamite. That's right. So to start the show, we have a promo with the Inner Circle championship of the Stadium Stampede t-shirts that Santana and Ortiz got on discount, but they didn't win, so they're misprinted shirts. So yeah, that's pretty funny to me. That's gonna come into play later on in the evening when we get to the end, because at the end there's something very special, and I'm very happy of how it went down. We start the night with match number 1, the Young Bucks and Matt Hardy versus Private Party and Joey Janela. Yes, the little mid-carder guy. Joey Janela was in this match. It was a great opening match. We saw, I believe it was version 1.0 Matt Hardy. He has different characters now, so he's different versions of himself throughout his wrestling career, which I think is pretty cool actually. But yeah, it was just it was a good match, good opening match, good spots, good energy, good charisma, good in-ring work overall. But something happened during this match. Something amazing and something awesome, something just great. It was just something very great. So during this match, we had a spot where Butcher and the Blade were on the outside, and they took a super kick, that's right, from one of the Young Bucks. This did not go over well with these two fellas, even though I don't really like Butcher and the Blade. I think they kind of suck. But anyways, moving on from that, Young Bucks and Matt Hardy will take the win on this one. And then something crazy happens. Something that I saw coming, but I didn't know when it was coming. I wish they'd have done this at a different time, but it is what it is. We're in a pandemic, so you have to go with what you know. So anyways, at the end of this, we see Butcher and the Blade come into the ring to beat down on the Young Bucks. Then we see an old black truck coming into the side, and we're like, oh my goodness, who is this? As soon as the camera painted, I know who it was, but it took the announcers a second, even though they knew who it was. Yes, that's right, the Revival is here. The Revival is in AEW as FTR, which stands for Fear the Revolt. So we don't get to see their theme music yet. They come into the ring, they go to attack the Young Bucks, then they turn and they destroy Butcher and the Blade, then they go back to attack the Young Bucks and they just walk out. So I don't know whose side they're on, but yes, we have them. We have the Revival now in the AEW. So awesome. Super awesome. Super awesome. I love it. I love it. Match number 2, we have the newcomer, Brian Cage. Last week, I talked about Double or Nothing with Brian Cage's debut. Didn't have much to say on the guy. I looked into him more. He was a guy from Impact Wrestling. If y'all ever watched Impact, they've been known as TNA. I think Global Force Wrestling as well. They have different names. But he was part of the Impact roster. That's where this guy comes from. So we have Brian Cage in match number 2 versus Lee Johnson, a jobber. And it was a mega short squash. We have Mox on commentary, getting them the stink eye the whole time because Brian Cage does hold that big casino chip to have a title shot for the AEW Championship. That's why Mox is giving him that stink eye. Brian Cage will win this one very quickly in a mega squash that was very, very short. He did the drill claw finisher on Lee Johnson. Then we have a promo with Britt Baker and Tony about the rules of being a role model, but she lined it out as a conspiracy against her to hurt her every time she's in the ring. No, she gets hurt because she's not a good worker. She's a great heel, she's just not a good worker. So the whole conspiracy centered on Aubrey. It's Aubrey. Rep Aubrey's the one that hurt me every time. Oh no. Yeah, it was alright. It was okay promo. Then we have a very short promo with Jericho starting to talk about things, and then Orange Cassidy walks through his interview. This will play out later. Cassidy just walks through the interview all nonchalantly with his hands in his pockets, because that's what pockets does, and it just pisses off Chris Jericho, pretty much. Then we move on to match 3. Christy James, her debut, versus Hikaru Shida, the new AEW Women's Champion. Good for you, Shida. This was pretty sloppy. James is a pretty sloppy performer. This is her first match in AEW. Didn't see much talent out of her out of this one. It was just an average. It was your average match. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. It was just I expect more out of Hikaru matches, but I mean, when you put somebody in there with a jobber, there's only so much you can do. Hikaru Shida will take the win on this one via the Falcon Arrow. Then we have a Cody in-ring promo about his newly won TNT Championship belt. He is our TNT champion. And basically, there's a couple jabs in there. This show did this multiple times tonight. He said, he had a line where he said, I'm welcome in New York, but I'm not welcome in Connecticut. WWE. Yes. If y'all don't know, WWE headquarters is in Stamford, Connecticut. Yes. He also announces that he will be defending this belt weekly on Dynamite starting next week. Yep, every single week we'll have a TNT Championship match. So, that plays into something a little bit later on match number 5. Match number 4, we have Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc versus Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky at SCU. Yep. It was a solid match. Pretty good match, I'd say. Penelope Ford kept cheating throughout this thing, and she did cause the victory for her team with Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. They did take the win on this one. Standard heel win. Nothing special. It was an average solid match. So, after this we get a promo with MJF demanding a title shot. Actually demanding a title shot. And I agree with him because MJF is one of the best talents they have in that company. So, basically saying he's won like every single match except for one, which he didn't get pinned in the match. It was like a 3-way match, 3 or 4-way match. I can't remember. It was so long ago. He's the one that was in that match. Only one person could win, and he didn't get pinned or anything, but it still counts as a loss of his record. Just MJF demanding a title shot because he darn deserves it because he's the best heel in wrestling. Now I'm moving on match 5. This was from earlier. This is that TNT Championship thing. This was a battle royale, okay? There was a ton of people in this, and I can't really go into every bit of detail on it because so much happened. We'll just put it this way. I'm going to tell you who was in it, I'm going to tell you how it kind of went, and then I'm going to tell you how the ending went. So, we have in this match, MJF, Wardlow, Luther, Peter Avalon, Brandon Cutler, Christopher Daniels, Sonny Kiss, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, Colt Cabana, Billy Gunn, that's right, Billy Gunn. Oh, you didn't know? Yeah, that guy. That wasn't Billy Gunn, but y'all know what I mean. And Orange Cassidy. The first 10-15 minutes of the match, god-awful. Like, the spots were not very good. They really didn't know what to do. There's too many people in the ring. It just got kind of out of control. It was a bit sloppy. They've had a problem with Battle Royales in the past, and they haven't got better with it, unfortunately. Hopefully they'll take into account, maybe do some kind of Royal Rumble type thing later on to do these, because this is just not good. The ending, though, was pretty good. So the last 2 guys in there, Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. A lot of people don't like Orange Cassidy, but he can work in the ring. He is very good in the ring. He can make people look great. It's like Silent Bob. He's a Silent Bob of wrestling. When he does say something, everybody listens because his moves are actually really, really good. He's really smooth and really fluid in the ring. He knows what he can do. And you see it every time he busts out. He's been doing it a lot more lately because we've been talking, me and Wildcat have been talking about this. This guy can't do this gimmick where he's just like, all the time doing the same thing. And he's kind of breaking out of that. He's kind of being still slothful outside the ring, but when he gets in the ring, it's all business. He'll do a couple things here and there that go with his character. But overall, his in-ring ability is top-notch. It is very top-notch. And so is Jungle Boy. That's why it didn't get good until the very end, because these 2 guys are like... Jungle Boy, to me, is almost like a top guy. He can work better than almost anybody in AEW. I mean, he's in the top 20 guys, for sure. Anyways, Jungle Boy did his amazing moves, and he took out Orange Cassidy, and he took the win. And that's right, we have Jungle Boy next week going against Cody for the TNT Championship. That should be really, really good. Last spot of the night, we have the Stadium Stampede Pep Rally. That's right, we have Inner Circle out there celebrating their participation, I guess you should say, in this match. They did not win the match, but it was just them giving each other gifts and raising each other up. There was participation trophies given out, saying something like best dad jokes ever trophy. I don't know. It was silly, but it was funny. But the better part of this happens when, oh, I forgot to mention that Vicky Guerrero was out there screaming, and it hurt my ears, and I didn't like it. And it said on her, when she came out, and she became one of the cheerleaders, on the title card, it said Vicky Guerrero, and it said, get your earplugs ready. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyways, so during this is something that hardly ever happens. Like, me personally, I've seen so many matches I can't remember, but this rarely happens in wrestling. This was a monumental thing. So Jericho starts talking about Mike Tyson, and as all y'all know, back in the day, Tyson came out, to WWE, and he was doing some stuff with Stone Cold and whatnot. So there was a moment back 10 years ago where Tyson hit Chris Jericho. Jericho didn't forget this, and he pulls that WWE storyline into AEW 10 years later. That's just crazy to me. It blew my freaking mind that they're continuing a story from another company. That's unheard of. That does not happen. I mean, that's crazy. Anyways, Tyson comes out after Jericho starts talking about this moment back 10 years ago with all his little cronies, and then Jericho pushes Tyson, and all freaking hell breaks loose. I hate to say it and use these bad words, but that's the only way to describe it. All hell broke loose in AEW, and I'm not joking. Everybody in that company, all the wrestlers, all the refs, all the staff, everybody was out in that ring trying to separate them two, and it was just great. It was a super great way to end this. I mean, Tyson versus Jericho in the future? What? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. But man, it was great. That ending was just like utter chaos, and I loved it. Even though the whole night wasn't amazing, there was moments like this that draw me in, and they just break the fourth wall. I mean, when you can continue a storyline for 10 years ago, I mean, what can't you do? This is just crazy. Anyways, that was all for Dynamite, you guys. I hope you're doing well out there, staying safe and healthy, and doing what you need to do to get by. Anyways, that's all for Dynamite. Love you guys. Keep watching the show. We appreciate it. And remember to keep it retro.